Good news, everyone! Remember that mold that I was having trouble with and didn't have enough molding material for? Well, I got the last bit of mold that I'm going to get for a while, and used it for the sheep in a future project that I will show off later. And you guys have seen the beginning process of making the mold and all that stuff, so I'm gonna just skip right over to when I demold this thing. After putting on some gloves, because I was going to mold something directly after this, I went ahead and tried to dig this boy out. And let me tell you, it is always a struggle. Probably because all of my characters have giant heads and ears that, while still molding correctly, are a pain to actually get out in the first place, because, like, the clay figure is so brittle. They tend to get busted no matter what I do, so I've kind of just gotten used to it. At least the resin version will look better. So I molded a few of them and they looked pretty good. The first one reminded me why I don't like using powder dyes nearly as much. The second one was a perfect purple color for the idea I had in mind, so we're using that one. And the third one is one I'll be working on off screen to have my own little side project away from a camera. Sheep tend to have brown eyes. A lot of animals have brown eyes. So I just went and did like a faded version to give some more contrast for the pupils later. It was then that I realized that I had somehow molded like a Lego brick onto the ear. I don't know how that happened. I think that had something to do with the bits of extra molding material I was shoving into the mold to try and save space. I'm gonna take it off on this one, but I think I'll keep it for the rest of the sheep. It's a fun little detail for people to find later. I also gave them squared off pupils, because the real ones have like those weird rectangle eyes, which I find charming, honestly. And I just have to add tiny lines. Nothing looks right without a bit of line art to it. I also took the brown I used from the eyes and a bit of purple and used that for the hooves to give them just a little bit of contrast. I tried to make a little fat body, thinking that would be good to compensate for some of the fluff I'd be losing, but it just made the body end up taller, which kind of bugged me, so I just went and used a standard body instead. I did make sure to pack it just a bit more to be safe, though. See, at the inception of this idea, I was looking at this yarn over here and thinking, wow, that would be good wool if I fluffed it out a little bit. And now here we are using it for this lad. Random fun fact. Turns out that the whole cartoon sheep with like the black with the white wool on top, that actually exists. I honestly thought that was just like, like a contrast thing. But it turns out those are real. Anyway, moving on. Now this wool part took a good amount of time. Like, I know hair punching with Monster High dolls takes a while. This is actually akin to like making like hair wefts to put on a bald head. And it is in fact very tedious. Probably would have been less tedious in some manners if I had used like normal glue. instead of hot glue, but I'm impatient and I don't trust other glues, so I just went with hot glue. The yarn worked out very good though, and he turned out to be very fluffy in the end. So much so that I had to trim him a little bit. The trimming did kind of kill the woolly look a little bit, or I felt like it did initially, but as I've looked back on it, it kind of looks more like wool again. I wanted to use a shirt that would be perfect for stuffing a bunch of wool in, like this guy really needs a shear, but he's trying his best to hold it back down. So I used a toddler sock that I had lying around, it wasn't really using much anymore, and just kind of sewed it on him directly, making sure to leave some space in the top part of the neck so I could stuff down the extra wool that I cut off and also sheared off into the chest. He turned out so chunky. I love it. I figured out a better way to do pants too, so I went ahead and whipped up a quick pair of jeans. I like the idea of him being a bulky dude on top, but stick legs on the bottom. And as expected, it tied the whole thing together perfectly. Look at this magnificent sheep. My mom was saying that he looked like one of those British dudes that have, like, the giant sweaters and stick legs. And it's just, it fits. Like, I totally get those vibes from him. And the weather? Perfect vibes for a Scottish lad. Or Welsh, I'm not sure which one. And it's such a stereotypical name that's popped in my head the entire time while thinking about this dude. I think their name is Shamus. I like that name. It just fits, and it sounds sort of like sheep. It's perfect. Well, I'm glad we finally got the sheep done. I mean, look at this boy. They're so fat they can't even sit on the doll stand correctly. But I am absolutely doing more sheep behind the scenes. Like, I love doing them, as tedious as the wool part was. It was really fun to do. While Shamus isn't quite for sale just yet, I'm waiting until I get, like, the full set of barnyard animals, maybe get a couple of each. I do have blank versions available now of the sheep base and the pig base, and also a cow base, which I'm still working on a video for. So if any of you customizers find these dolls actually pretty interesting and want to try your hand at messing with one of the bases, go ahead over on my Etsy and I got some blanks for you there. Legit though, no pressure. I hate forcing sales. Like, if you really want to, check it out. If you don't, I don't care either way. It would be cool though. Stay tuned for the next video where I'll do either a new cow or another sheep. Either or. Could go anywhere at this point. So I'll see you guys in the next video eventually. Have a good night.